the mic.
Get on the mic.
Just get on the mic. Get on the mic, Mike.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Get on the Mic. That's where you put me in front of a microphone with a few notes and I talk about some of the more interesting things that have happened throughout the world of entertainment this week or whatever else I feel like talking about. Before I begin this packed program, I want to remind everyone of my new partnership with the DNA Digital Network. Now, not only will you be able to find this podcast on YouTube, but thanks to DNA, you'll be able to find it on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and other places that you can find podcasts. Now you can listen to this program on your favorite audio device. For more details, check out dnadigitalnetwork.com. Today on the program, we got a lot to cover. One of the things we're going to cover is the possibility of Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker. We'll also talk about the future of X-Men in movies. Was Zack Snyder fired from Justice League? Could Disney be dumping EA games? That's right, we're going to get a little bit into gaming. And because some news came out about this movie that I'm really looking forward to, we're going to talk about John Wick Chapter 3. The first thing we're going to talk about is the possibility of Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker for DC. There have been unconfirmed reports that Joaquin Phoenix is signed on to play the Joker in a standalone movie. I can't find any concrete decisions on this. Some people are saying he's signed. Some people are saying that DC's just talking to him or Warner Brothers is just talking to him. I can't find any concrete answer, so we'll just go with the word unconfirmed. The movie is going to be co-written and directed by Todd Phillips, who is the director of the Hangover movies, War Dogs, and Due Date, just to name a few. Apparently, Leonardo DiCaprio was rumored to be Warner Brothers' first pick for the role, but apparently that didn't work out. It's also rumored to be an origin story about how the Joker became the criminal mastermind that he is, and it's supposed to take place in the 80s and have the look and feel of a gritty crime drama. This is a very interesting note. Though I think I'd rather see him direct this movie. One of the producers of the movie is none other than Martin Scorsese. And like I said, on a personal note, I think he would just bring something special to a Joker gangster movie from the 80s. But he's just a producer. Hopefully he'll have some input on the final product, because honestly, that's just a cool idea. This is also supposed to be part of a new strand of DC movies that won't have any influence on the current DC shared universe. So yeah, they're going to have this side universe, I guess is going to be kind of like Elseworlds, and then they're going to have their shared stuff with the characters that we've met already, because apparently Jared Leto is still supposed to play the Joker in Suicide Squad 2. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but we're not going to get into all that Elseworld shared universe stuff. I just want to talk about this. Do I think that Joaquin Phoenix would make a great Joker? The answer is a big yes. Look, I think that if they use elements from stories such as The Killing Joke, I think Phoenix can capture both the sympathetic side of the man before the clown as well as the sadistic clown prince of crime himself. Joaquin Phoenix is a type of actor, and you could put this on actors. There's a few actors out there that, like a Daniel Day-Lewis. There's others out there that really lose themselves in roles, and Joaquin Phoenix is one of those kind of actors. And to play the Joker, it takes that kind of dedication. I mean, though it ended up with him losing his life, just look at the way Heath Ledger got into the role. I mean, he just lived that role. Now, I'm not wishing any harm to guys like Jared Leto and to the possible Joaquin Phoenix if he's playing a role, but you do have to kind of lose yourself in a role like that just to get the right mindset. And I think that Joaquin Phoenix could capture that feeling because he would dedicate himself to doing so. Do I think a Joker origin story is a good idea? Only if it's done the right way. Let me explain. If they tell a straight up origin story, like, hey, here's the origin of the Joker, it's going to suck. Okay? Now, if the narrative is the Joker telling a twisted version of his origin, with things changing all throughout, the story not adding up, and the Joker lying through his huge smiling teeth, then I think it's got potential. It's got to be done the right way. You just can't be like, well, here's this failed comedian and he dressed up as a Red Hood and fell into a vat of acid. I mean, I want to see Batman in this. Who knows if they're going to do Batman in this? I mean, if they do, who's going to be Batman? Is it going to be Ben Affleck? We going to get a different Batman? Could this be the rumored Jake Gyllenhaal Batman? I don't know. I mean, we don't know anything other than they're talking to Joaquin Phoenix, or he may have already signed on. So yeah, I think it has potential, and if Phoenix actually signed on, he will give it his all. That's why I actually have confidence in this. Now, do I have confidence in Warner Brothers? Not really. Do I think that Todd Phillips could handle it? I think so, because, I mean, he's done dark humor before. I mean, a movie like War Dogs had some pretty dark humor, and I mean, it had some just funny humor in it too. But you got to be able to have dark humor if you're handling the Joker. I don't think he'd be my first pick, but, you know, I'd really have to think about who I'd want my first pick to be. But, I mean, I wouldn't say that's a terrible pick for director. Here's the thing, though. Like I said, if he signs on, he'll give it his all, and it'd be great. And on a side note, this is not the first comic book movie that Joaquin Phoenix has almost been connected to. When Darren Aronofsky was trying to get his Batman Year One made, he wanted Phoenix to be his Batman, which I don't know if I could see that. I mean, granted, I would love to see him try it, but I don't know if that'd work. I could. He also apparently got the role of Lex Luthor for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, but passed on it. I can't imagine why. And lastly, he was in talks to play the Sorcerer Supreme in Doctor Strange, but he passed on that role as well, and who knows if he actually got it or if they were just talking to him. We can't say that didn't turn out bad, right? Benedict Cumberbatch kind of did really good in that part, so I'm kind of happy it wasn't Joaquin Phoenix. But the idea of seeing Joaquin Phoenix as a Joker, it's compelling. I'm not gonna try to get too excited about it if it's gonna happen, because the track record isn't great right now, but the possibilities are there. The next thing I want to talk about is what the hell is happening with X-Men in film. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. We talked about Deadpool 2 being moved up, New Mutants and the Gambit solo films being moved back a ton, and then also the possibility of finishing Fox's X-Men universe with X-Men Dark Phoenix, and why I think it's the best chance that Disney has to pretty much reboot the whole chimichanga. It's come out this week that a Kitty Pryde or Shadowcat solo movie is in the works. Kitty Pryde, for those of you that don't know, was the character that Ellen Page played in X-Men The Last Stand and X-Men Days of Future Past. There's no word if she's going to be involved in this project or not. There's also no word if the movie connects to the current X-Men franchise, Deadpool, or any other movies being developed right now. If I had to guess, they would probably recast the part and connect it to Deadpool and New Mutants, and also they're talking that they're going to be making an X-Force movie that comes out of Deadpool, so it could connect to that as well. So those are probably your more likely candidates. Here's an interesting tidbit, though. Even though he left Deadpool 2 not in the best of terms, it's being developed and possibly directed by the man behind the original Deadpool, Tim Miller. The writer is an even more interesting thing. The writer is none other than Marvel Comics legend Brian Michael Bendis. He's known for his spectacular, no pun intended, roles on the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, Daredevil, and other popular books. The working title of this movie is 143, which is in reference to Uncanny X-Men 143, which is a Kitty Pryde solo story. As I mentioned the last time we talked about this, if they're going to make this movie or make any of these movies, I think it should be a reboot of the character. Look, nothing against Ellen Page, but I think Fox's X-Men movie should evolve. That pun was intended. Here's what I'm really hoping doesn't happen. I don't want to see Disney try to capture lightning in a bottle twice by setting up another shared universe with its newfound access to the X-Men. If they're going to use the X-Men, I'm tired. Look, as much as I love the X-Men, and as much as I love what Marvel did with the MCU, I'm looking forward to the big multi-hero movies ending. Um, I'm looking forward to more personal character stories or cool team-ups. I mean, come on, who wouldn't love a Hulk Spider-Man movie, or you know, an Ant-Man, and I don't know, just put people together. Everyone, of course, wants to see Wolverine Hulk. I'd love to see Captain America Wolverine. You know, there's just all sorts of cool possibilities. How about, I mean, granted now Hulk can talk, but for the time it would have been cool to see Hulk and Groot whenever Hulk couldn't talk. But here's the thing. I don't want to see all the X-Men come together separately and then join together for a big X-Men movie. I mean, if you want to introduce characters into an already, grouped together X-Men, that's fine. Like kind of like they did with the original X-Men, and First Class did it fine, bringing them together, but we don't need to see that again. It's like with Spider-Man, we've seen the origin story. Just give us some cool characters, introduce a few new ones, and then go from there. But here's the thing. Here's the ultimate thought behind this, that I have behind this whole thing. It's bad enough that everybody else wants to copy what Disney has. Everybody wants a shared universe. DC, or an extension Warner Brothers, the Universal Monsters, The Conjuring. You know what I'm saying. There's all these people wanting shared universes. Everyone wants to copy them. I don't want to see them start copying themselves. I just, if you're going to make an X-Men movie, make an X-Men movie. You've got all these new toys now. You've got the X-Men. You've got Fantastic Four. You've got Deadpool. You've got X-Force. There's just so much that you've got now. Don't spread it out to where we're getting 17,000 superhero movies a year that all have to add up. That's why I'm glad the MCU is probably going to go to smaller stories after not this Avengers movie, but the one after. I look forward to the more personal stories. I got a chance to see Black Panther early, and though I had connections to the shared universe, like from a little bit from Age of Ultron, a little bit from Civil War, it didn't cram it down our throats, and I liked that. It was telling a more personal story, and I look forward to seeing more of that. So yeah, I don't want to see Marvel do it again, if you know what I'm saying. The next story I want to talk about is this. Was Zack Snyder fired from Justice League? A former entertainment editor of Mashable, Josh Dickey, sent out some interesting tweets about Snyder's time working on the Justice League movie. He claimed that Snyder did not leave voluntarily to deal with his personal family matters, which was him taking time away to deal with the death of his daughter and be with his family. He said that he was instead fired from the movie. Along with a link to an article titled, Zack Snyder is taking a backseat in the Warner Brothers DC movie franchise, Dickey tweeted, since I'm shifting into DGAF mode, that would be don't give a you-know-what mode, here's a hot one for you. Zack Snyder was fired from the DCEU just over 1 year ago. Couldn't write it quite that way at the time, but was able to tap dance around it. Clumsy, oblique, headline not mine. So yeah, apparently, him leaving, according to this guy, wasn't on his own accord, but he's not the only one saying it. Collider reported that Warner Brothers fired Snyder months before he announced his stepping away. Matt Goldberg from Collider had this to say about the matter. I'd heard similar things from separate sources over the last year as well. I also heard that Snyder's rough cut of the movie was quote-unquote unwatchable, a word that jumped out at me because it's rare you hear two separate sources use the same exact adjective. Of course, even if that's true, there's obviously more to the story since rough cuts can be fixed up with reshoots, rewrites, etc. You know, it's pretty common knowledge that Warner Brothers is not happy with the box office performance of movies like Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and other movies. I think they expected more. They did well, but I think they expected them to do way better. Now, Warner Brothers has not officially responded to the claims that Snyder was ousted, but they did have this to say about his involvement in future projects. Zack Snyder is not currently scheduled to direct a DC film, but he is serving as a producer or executive producer on upcoming DC pictures such as Wonder Woman 2 and Aquaman. Now, with all this coming out, do I feel that he was fired? I don't have many doubts about that. Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, though I enjoyed parts of them, Man of Steel a little more than Batman v Superman. I know a lot of people hate me saying that. But Man of Steel at least felt like just a Superman movie, where Batman v Superman felt like 7 different stories. They're both very divisive movies between critics and fans. Warner Brothers wants box office smashes, not divisive movies. They want movies that are big, loud, and make a lot of money. And you add in the reported trouble of Justice League, and him being fired doesn't really surprise me. I mean, granted, I don't think, say his daughter's passing didn't happen. I can't say that it probably would have. I'm sure he was having a tough time on the set, and my heart goes out to him. I'm not dissing him for this, but I don't know if it would have changed the movie much, because you could tell that movie had problems anyway. I still would love to see his cut of the movie, just so I could judge it. If they're saying it's unwatchable, maybe it's actually good, because I thought Batman v Superman was unwatchable, and that was a completed movie. It's not totally unwatchable. There's some good, like the Batman warehouse stuff is cool, and some of the effects and stuff was cool. I'm not saying it's the worst movie ever. It's just a mess. But him being fired doesn't really surprise me, because people didn't really like his Man of Steel. Batman v Superman divided people. Justice League divided people. They don't want divisiveness. They want everyone to go, "Oh, I love these movies. Here's my money." That's what Warner Brothers and DC wants. So if it really comes out that he was fired instead of walked away on his own, it wouldn't surprise me too much. The next story I want to talk about is the possibility of Disney dumping EA games. The devil horns go up every time you hear EA games, and people don't like EA games. Rumor has that EA Games could be losing their Star Wars licensing agreement to make games based on the franchise. Apparently, Lucasfilm is very unhappy with the current arrangement with EA and is looking at other studios for a new deal. Names like Activision and Ubisoft are names that have kept coming up to make new Star Wars games. Now, remember this, none of this is confirmed, but honestly, it would not surprise me one bit. There was a lot of issues people had with the first Battlefront. I played the old Battlefront games. I had both of them, but I've never played the new ones that EA made. The first one apparently had issues because it was just multiplayer, and people were mad there was no solo story. But so they made a solo story for the second one. And apparently it was pretty subpar, pretty short. And then also the big thing that made EA step in doo-doo was their pay-to-win loot boxes. That has been the major point of anger from the fans wanting to just play the game and play the heroes they like, and having to pay a ton of money to get guys like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Come on, EA had to have known that this was going to be an issue. I think they just expected that people would shut up and buy it, and people haven't taken this line down. Sales of Star Wars Battlefront 2 were pretty poor over the Christmas season, which I'm sure it didn't make Disney all too happy because, yes, they're trying to give us the movies and games and stuff that we want, but they're also in this to make a lot of money because they are Disney, after all. Here's my opinion on this. Though I haven't played the 2 Battlefront games, they look neat. I heard they're fun, but I heard, like I said, the loot boxes were crap and the solo story is crap. I hope this happens. EA has run roughshod over consumers for way too long, and any gamer will tell you that. Losing out on this contract to a competitor would force them to eat a big crap sandwich. I hope it happens and EA loses more contracts. Look, I'm not saying I want to see people lose jobs or anything like that, but to the corporate bigwigs that are doing every little thing to squeeze every little penny out of every gamer out there, maybe it would teach them a few manners, and hopefully their business practices might change, but I doubt it, but one can dream, right? When it comes to anything EA does, it just feels like, yes, they're a business, I get it, but they seem to go to extreme measures trying to make money. I think now for Madden, you can download new rosters and things like that. You don't have to buy a new game every year, but I think they still do introduce a new game every year. But I think you can buy an updated roster, it just won't change the game. I'm not sure. I haven't played a Madden game since, I think, 2007. I think Donovan McNabb was on the front. And like I said, I know people are having issues with this loot box thing. I don't totally understand it, but apparently you have to earn money in game or you can buy money in game. Kind of like a mobile game that's free that wants to have you buy, if you buy these tokens now, you can buy this equipment now and not have to grind for 27 years to get a suit of armor or whatever, And apparently they've gone to extreme. And the thing, not being able to get characters you want unless you want to pay a ton of money for them. It's just ridiculous. These games are expensive enough. And this whole thing about people finding that there's stuff on discs and you have to unlock them and things like that, the whole thing's a mess. And EA seems to be the worst of the worst. There's bad companies out there, but EA seems to be, if people are, if some companies out there are just the minions, EA would be the devil, right? And I just think they've been able to get away with it too long. And I would love to see a company as big as Disney spank them a little bit for their business practices and for trying to squeeze every little bit of money they can out of consumers. Yes, Disney puts their product and puts their IPs on everything, but for the most part, at least they give us good stuff, and I'm sure there's bad stuff out there too, but they don't bank everything on these games and nickel and dime and penny and quarter everybody for every red cent that they can get and then try to do it again in the next game. So yeah, I'd love to see EA taught a lesson because, EA may think they're big, but they ain't Disney big. All right, now that we're done with EA, I want to talk about John Wick Chapter 3. Some news came out this week that got me really excited. Apparently, John Wick Chapter 3 is going to begin filming on or around April 26th, 2018, which would mean that we're going to be getting John Wick Chapter 3 in 2019. Color me excited. Of course, Keanu Reeves returns as the title character, but also Chad Stahelski, I can never say that guy's name right. Chad Stahelski returns to direct, and Derek Kolstad returns to write the screenplay. Because, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Apparently, they're going to be shooting in New York, Montreal, with additional photography in Russia and Spain. And Reeves has also stated that he'd like to shoot in Tokyo and Jerusalem as well. I would love to see a scene like in I can't remember which James Bond was it, Skyfall, that he went to Japan. I would love to see a John Wick scene like that in like in a building like that. That'd be amazing. Other cast members returning are Lawrence Fishburne, Ruby Rose, Common, and Ian McShane. Because again, if it ain't broke. The plot is a mystery, but Stalsky has said that they're gonna look into more of John Wick's backstory, which I'm fine with that. Now, that begs the question, though, what do I want to see from the next installment? I'm a big John Wick fan. I called it my favorite movie of 2017, and I'm not saying it's the best movie, but it was my favorite movie. It exceeded all my expectations. It gave me everything I wanted and more, and promised me more later. It was just the perfect fun movie for me. So what do I want to see in Chapter 3? What do I want to see in the next installment? Well, I want it to do this. Chapter 2 expanded on the cool new world of Chapter 1. I want to see Chapter 3 do the same for Chapter 2. Peel back more layers of this mysterious world of assassins and hitmen and hitwomen. I want them to ramp up the action. And you're probably thinking, how are they going to ramp up the action in John Wick? Well, the usual balls to the wall would be fine, but I want to see the balls of the wall go balls to the wall, if that even makes any sense. I want to see the balls of the wall go balls to the wall while going balls to the wall, and again while going balls to the wall. Especially if this is going to be the last one. They have to let it all out. Now, I love the gunplay in these movies. The gunplay is certainly a hell of a lot of fun. But I want to see more hand-to-hand fight scenes, similar to the ones like in the Raid movies. I mean, I would love to see a hallway fight with John Wick. I mean, yeah, I know we've seen stuff like that. I'm talking like... But I want to see it as crazy as something like the Raid or even Old Boy. So, I'd love to see, just big hand-to-hand. I mean, yeah, he did the hand-to-hand fight at the end of the first one against the crime boss, he does hand-to-hand. But I want to see him, like, take on, 30 guys and just go nuts. I just want to see Keanu Reeves, who, I mean, he's one of those actors, especially when it comes to action, he gives it his all. I mean, the dude's what? Late 40s, maybe even 50? I can't remember how old he is, but he's getting up there. And he just still goes nuts, still just goes crazy when it comes to action, and is extremely convincing. The next thing I want to see is, I want to see John Wick, quote unquote, die. I want to see him fake his death. I want to see him go underground to find a bit of peace, only to have to come out later, maybe for that Starz TV series that will be based on the movie Universe's Continental Hotel. Think about that. You do John Wick Chapter 3, he dies. You start the Continental TV series, and about halfway through the season, John Wick shows up at one of the Continental hotels. And this sets up John Wick Chapter 4, but also plays out a little bit on the Continental TV series, which is supposed to be starring Ian McShane, by the way. I'm not sure who else they're going to get, but I know he's supposedly in the show. I don't want these movies to end just as long as there is more of this world's layers to peel away. When they've finally shown us everything, they should stop. I don't want them to run this series ragged, showing us the same exact thing. If there's more new cool stuff to show us, kind of like how the first one's, well, here's the hotel. And then the second one, holy crap, there's hotels all over the world. What are we going to find next in Chapter 3? Is there more in Chapter 4? You see what I'm getting at? John Wick Chapter 3 is probably my most anticipated movie of 2019. I know there's a lot of cool movies coming out in 2019, but man, after John Wick Chapter 2 exceeded all my expectations, I can't not look forward to Chapter 3. And also, one last note. Yes, I know there is a decade discrepancy to work out, but I still want that John Wick Atomic Blonde crossover. Atomic Blonde takes place in the 80s, I believe it was. John Wick takes place around now. I could believe that Keanu Reeves is 10, 15 years younger. And Charlize Theron just always looks fantastic. So, I mean, change that with her. So, yeah, I want to see that team up or them go at each other or whatever. And also, if you haven't seen Atomic Blonde, a lot of people give that movie crap. I think they were expecting another John Wick. I think it's got more of a developed story, more of a spy type story, whereas in John Wick stories are more like assassin and action based. And don't get me wrong, Atomic Blonde has some great action scenes, but there's also like spy stuff going on. So if you haven't checked that out, at least give it a look. Now on to quick hits. A feature-length version of the absurd but awesome Kung Fury is being made, starring Michael Fassbender. While I'm pretty on the fence about this movie even being made, given how great the Kickstarter-funded original was, I am curious what a funny Michael Fassbender will be like. Paul King, the director of Paddington 2, which, by the way, if you haven't seen Paddington 2, go see it. It's just as good, if not better, than the first one. Paul King, the director of Paddington 2, is in talks to direct a Willy Wonka reboot, remake, whatever it is. Hollywood and remakes. And they're certainly not showing any sign that they are slowing. Gerard Butler's Den of Thieves is getting a sequel, so since there was no Heat 2, where will they borrow the movie story from? Tiffany Haddish, is it Haddish or Hadish? I think it's Haddish. Tiffany Haddish and Melissa McCarthy are set to team up for the crime drama, The Kitchen. Wait, drama? Did I read that right? Yes, I read that right. It's based on a DC Vertigo comic series about the wives of mobsters having to take over the business when their husbands go to prison. I'm interested. I think Melissa McCarthy, if you give her something different to do, she can be great. And I like Tiffany Haddish. She's very funny. I'm curious to see how serious she can be. And I'm sure there's going to be some ridiculousness in that movie. Here's one for you. LeBron James is producing a House Party reboot with New Line Cinema. One of my favorite movies from the 90s is Kid and Play's House Party. So LeBron's probably giving me yet another reason not to like him very much. I went to an early screening of Black Panther, as I mentioned earlier, in St. Louis, and saw that the theater was showing 50 Shades Freed on their IMAX screen. Do you think that Jamie Dornan finds that insulting? Apparently DC is talking with everybody's favorite punching bag director Michael Bay about directing a live-action Lobo movie. Lobo is a big, dumb, and loud character that will fit in a big, dumb, and loud action movie. So why not get a big, dumb, and loud director to do it? On a side note, the movie is being written by Wonder Woman writer Jason Fuchs, so I guess it can't be all that bad. Tom Hanks is set to play Fred Rogers in the biopic You Are My Friend. I think this is pretty great casting, and I can't wait to see it, but I have to say that I'd be pretty disappointed if there wasn't a joke in the movie about whether or not Mr. Rogers wore the sweater to cover up old military tattoos. Lastly, George Lucas was visiting the set of Solo on Ron Howard's first day of taking over the movie. After a short visit that turned into 5 hours, Howard put Lucas to work, having him direct a small scene that takes place aboard the Millennium Falcon. Hey, as long as he doesn't direct a scene involving Greedo shooting first, I am cool with it. That's going to do it for Quick Hits. I want to remind everybody of a few things. First, of the Geek Be Cubed YouTube channel, where you can find the the GB3 bi-weekly podcast. My friend Heisenerd and I do a bi-weekly podcast where we talk all things geek. We talk games, movies, tech, whatever's interesting that's happened within a 2-week period. We talk about that. Also, I want to direct your attention to my partner in crime, Heisenerd's channel. He does gaming live streams, let's plays, among other things. He also does a podcast called Heisenerd Speaks. Soon, along with the GB3 podcast, We're going to be working on some more projects together in the near future. We talked about doing some Let's Plays together, some reviews together. We're just brainstorming right now, but in the future, we're going to be doing some more stuff together. I'm really looking forward to that. Also, along with my podcast, you'll be able to find the GB3 podcast and Heisenberg Speaks on the DNA Digital Network. You'll be able to get all three podcasts on your favorite devices using iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. You'll still be able to find them all on YouTube on their respective channels, but now you can get them in audio form and listen to them however you want. For more information on these shows, the DNA Digital Network, and more, make sure to check out dnadigitalnetwork.com. Lastly, as I've done the last few weeks, I want to thank all the people that took this that have taken the time to subscribe to my channel, watch my stuff. As of this taping, I'm still about, I think it's like around 1,500 hours short of the YouTube, the new guidelines they have of the 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours watched in a year. February 20th is the cutoff date. Now, I can get it after that, but then I have to be reevaluated after that. As I've said before, if I don't make it, I'm not stopping, because this is just fun for me. But I would like to beat YouTube. I'm stubborn like that. I found it as a challenge. One thing I'm directing everyone to, I did a video called Con Talk with Brad the Cinema Snob Jones. It's about an hour-long video. I'm trying to get that video up to 3,000 views, which would definitely put me over the limit, or at least it should. So, if you haven't seen that video yet, definitely check it out on the Real Gino YouTube channel. That's for those that, if you're listening to this on iTunes and stuff like that. It's a really fun video. We talk about different weird and interesting stories that have happened at comic book conventions or Comic-Cons or whatever you want to call them. We talk about celebrities we've met, weird people we've encountered, the creation of memes, just all sorts of different stories. His wife Laura joins us, and she has some stories too, because she's been to a few cons with Brad now. It's a really fun video. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure to go. If you're not already here, make sure to go to the Real Gino YouTube channel and check out Con Talk with Gino and Brad, and help me get that video over 3,000. Or just check out some of the longer videos, especially because the longer videos. See, I do a lot of shorter reviews, as most of you know that are on this channel, so they don't add up so fast. Now, I want people to watch that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not working on that stuff so it can just sit there, but I want people to try to check out the longer videos or some of these longer podcasts that I do, to try to get those hours over 4,000 by February 20th. Again, I ain't going anywhere, but I just want that satisfaction of saying, yeah, you put that in front of me, YouTube, but I beat you. So also make sure to support the little guys and gals busting their butts on YouTube. At least check out their channels, and if you like what you see, subscribe to them, watch some of their stuff, comment on their stuff. I mean, look, I know you can't watch everybody. I mean, if I got the views for the subscribers I got, I wouldn't have a problem beating this YouTube thing. People just aren't interested in everything, you know what I mean? I mean, you're not always gonna like what someone posts, so but at least check out some smaller channels, because there's some good stuff out there that isn't getting the love that it should. And honestly, there's some smaller channels out there that I think are way better than some of the bigger channels that are multi-million-dollar, now businesses. I'm not saying I stand up to, some of the bigger channels, but maybe I do. It's everyone's opinion, but I do want to thank everyone that has subscribed lately. Those that have been with me for a long time. I feel like I've got a lot of supporters that have been with me for a long time, and I love that. The idea of people watching and listening to me for a long time. And I know I've quote unquote met a lot of people in the comment sections, and there's just people I know I can expect certain comments from, or certain types, they like certain types of movies, and I like talking to them about certain things, and I kind of expect it, and they bring it, and I like that. You know, we try to have a pretty friendly community over on my channel. And you know, I'm not saying it's, you know, it's perfect, but I mean, we just try to have fun over at my channel. And those of you that are already with me, I thank you. Those of you that aren't, I encourage you to subscribe. If you don't like what you see, don't subscribe. But you know, if you do, subscribe and watch the stuff on there. And again, support the little guy. There's people out there with dreams to be successful on YouTube. They've grown up with people, you know, like the Cinema Snob, or the Angry Video Game Nerd, or, you know, there's tons of people. There's news, you know, there's news outlets and stuff that, you know, people have watched growing up, and they have dreams to be that. YouTube's kind of made it harder to become a thing. And there's people out there with dreams, so at least give them a chance. You know, you're not going to be able to support everybody, but, you know, if you like something, support it. That's all I've got this week for Get on the Mic. Again, thank you so much for listening. As always, I appreciate every single one of you out there that take the time to actually listen to this program and watch the stuff I put out. Until next time, I'm the real Gino Reynolds. Peace.